another episode of Stew in the Nunn, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, a different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our chat room, via our Facebook page, and of course, on Twitter. Keep it funky.
Well, there you have it. We are live. When I say we, I mean I am alive because my brother from another motherland is working in the deep south, and so I am all alone, and subject to your questions tonight. I got a couple of things I want to talk about. I got a couple of things I want to cover. So we are. I'm just doing a little social. I'm doing all the wizardry by myself tonight. But yeah, there's lots for us to kind of go over and do, and let's see what's going on. John Kaiser's here. Brad Kelly's here. What's up? So. Oh. And the notifications have begun. Let me mute those notifications. But excited about. Oh, look at old Troy. Sounded good. Sorry I couldn't be there. But in all fairness, to be fair, Troy's got to earn a living too, and he's got to pay those bills. And pay them. You need dollar bills. So he's out doing that. But hey, lots of different and funny things for us to talk about. I've been on the road as always, and this week is no different than any other. We spent the weekend in Shreveport, Louisiana. Brad Kelly in the chat room was also there, so he knows what I'm talking about. We were out there at the Arc La Tex, which is Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas Craft Beer and Barbecue Festival. Brad Kelly's got mad steak judging skills, so let the record show. He was sworn in, and he knows exactly what he's talking about when it comes to a steak and the perfect grill marks. The perfect grill marks, the texture, the temperature, and all the good stuff that goes with that. But Stu is off working, so I'm kind of left unattended and all alone. I figured I would do a short, abbreviated show. We have a really cool guest coming on next week. I'll tell you a little bit about him right now. We got Remy, and Remy's, as I like to say, a straight-up stud. So Remy is Adekaleki, I'm saying it wrong, but he is a Navy SEAL, and he is, got a great book that's out. He was in the movie Transformers, a couple of them, and he is also in an upcoming movie with, maybe people you never know, as well as, some other folks that we got involved in. So he's going to be on the show next week. So look forward to Navy SEAL Remy. And we're going to talk about his new book that's coming out May 14th. And then we're going to talk about what's it like in the world of Hollywood and being up to no good. So let's get hyphy for that. But if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, put it up in. It's not for me to manage all the different chats, but let's say that we'll go with Facebook because it have the most people on it. So just type something in Facebook and we'll talk about it. There is a lot going on. We got airplanes falling out of the sky, or not falling out of the sky, getting grounded here in America, and we have people saying crazy things We have members of Congress asking bank CEOs questions that really make no sense. If you're an adult, we have, the well, at least one of them was on many a poster of teenage boys across America. Now, straight up, older cougar, I guess you'd call her, MILF or whatever, uh, getting hemmed up for putting their children into schools that they probably didn't earn a way into and just utilizing that old dollar bill. But there's nothing new about that. That's probably been happening in one capacity or another since the very first university was started. I live in the GTX, the Georgetown, Texas. We got Southwestern University right here on University Boulevard, also known as US Highway 29. And I imagine in the 178 years that they've been in existence, uh, somebody's paid their way into there that probably shouldn't have been. So, like, I don't know why that's like ruffling a bunch of feathers, and like why everyone's getting all worked up, because like we've known that's happening. They've been making movies about it for athletes that weren't smart enough to get into universities. So why are they talking about people that are smart enough to get into university, just not athletic enough to be the university they want to find a way? So we can talk about that. We could also talk about the interesting things like, I don't know, Beto O'Rourke in Texas deciding that even though he successfully uh, lost his senatorial bid, that I'll just run for president. I lost the senatorial run. Let me just kick it up a notch and go for that. But no, lots for us to talk about. Do want to talk about one of the issues that I really want to talk about, and since I got John Kaiser and Brad Kelly and Eric in the chat rooms, here's something that we'll throw at you. So there's the 2-star general that's involved or overseeing Green Beret training, which is the Army's uh, unconventional warfare force. He's under scrutiny for acts of retribution involving folks in his command because of the lowering of standards. Like, hey, let's help guys, maybe other people other than dudes, get into certain training. Let's help them get through things. Mainly guys, and the lowering of standard, that there's the need that we get this many people, so let's fill these spots. Yeah, this guy failed a PT test, or he doesn't know how to navigate himself out of a wet paper bag. But he looks like a nice guy, and we could use the bodies. So for putting that kind of pressure on people, undue pressure or influence, and then perhaps retribution on guys, like that's kind of in our thing going on right now. So we could talk about that, because I think the standard should always be the standard. There's a lot of talk about whether men or women are equal. I always just absolutely laugh when someone asks me if I think men, and I laugh at it not because I'm a male chauvinistic pig. I don't laugh at it because I'm part of the patriarchy. I laugh at it because of the stupidness, the absolute ridiculous question that it is. Of course, we're not equal. We're not equal because we're not the same. There are things that physiologically I'm suited better for as a guy, and there are things that women are physiologically suited for better because they're women. Uh, like we do not have the same body. If we're talking intellect, there are some really dumb dudes out there. There's some dumb ladies out there too. Hence where, like stereotypes such as like the old dumb blonde or bimbo or whatever the stereotype is. Just like there's the dude on Coach, like that's not that smart. You want to go back to Archie Comics, Boos or whatever that dude's name was. Yeah, no, like there's a difference between quality and being the same. And there are a lot of dudes that should not be in the infantry. I don't know much, but I do know that. And if you can meet the standard, and the standard is what it takes to do a job, you should be able to get that job. I absolutely 100 wholeheartedly believe that. Like Eric's asking if service standards for first responders been dropped. I don't know. I imagine that those standards, have been based off of, definitely within the police force, off of inclusion for quite some time. But like the standard should be the standard. And I'm trying to remember who it was that we were having this conversation with recently. I think it was Mike on the last episode. Go back, Dr. Mike Simpson, amazing special operations guy, doctor, started off as a Ranger infantry guy in the Ranger Regiment, became a Special Forces engineer, then became a Special Forces medic, then became an actual trauma doctor. Pretty impressive dude. Last episode, 157, go back and check it out on iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the things that we're on. You go back and check that out. We actually talk about it a little bit in terms of standards, but like the standard's the standard, and the enemy has a vote. So the standard should be what makes us successful warfare, what makes us successful in national defense and security. It shouldn't be like what makes us politically popular. The social experiment stuff, the military has always been a social experiment. But experimenting and then holding a standard should be two totally different things. And I believe that the standard should be the standard. And if the standard is the best lethality, the best percentage of survivability, and the best outcome, I'm happy with it. And I don't care. Pink, purple, blue, black, white, green, whatever color, race, religion, it shouldn't matter. The standard should be the standard. I never thought anything about performance unless, like you couldn't get to your point of domination. Mikey's jumping up in there going, the standard's the standard. That's right. But it's not the standard. The New York Islanders. That's what I'm saying there, Mikey. Just a little shout out to you, my man. Like the New York Islanders, because orange, it's a good color. Oilers use it too. Standard. We're the standard. But no, like that should be it. We shouldn't be measuring anything outside of performance. I served with some men that didn't meet the standard. I served with some men that upheld the standard. I've met many females in my career that met the standard, and I met some that didn't. And there was nothing wrong with them. They weren't bad soldiers. They weren't bad people. They for the job that they were, they they were unprepared for, and that's not a ding. All right, so there's that. I don't think anyone should put pressure on people, and I don't think people should try and make it easy for folks to get through. I think to get through. That's why I love standardized testing for college entrance. We're going to circle back when we talk about this, this college thing here in a hot second. But like, if you're going to be at a certain level of education, you should have a basic understanding of there should be a baseline, a foundation. And so I'm happy with SATs. I'm happy with tests like the ACT because it sets a standard. There's nothing wrong with that, and I don't think that should be purchased. I don't think that should be bought. I think that's something you should just demonstrate. And there you go. And it is a nice, like, it's almost, I'm pro Mikey. You didn't know? But let's talk about buying your way into college. I think it's hilarious that people are making a big deal about this. For one well, there's actually three reasons. One, it's been happening. Two, it's a free market economy. And if you want your kid to go there, go there. If you want to buy their way in, awesome. Hey, someone's making dollar bills off it. Someone's palms getting creased. Someone's, forging some document that says that they are, on a rowing team that they've never rowed before. Once you get in the classroom and once you turn in those papers, unless you're like a small community college, there's no interaction with the professors. You're one of hundreds of people. I remember sitting in those lecture halls and, hiding in the back because it might have been an extremely liberal college and I was in the Army at the time. So I was like, I'm going to not wear anything that identifies me as someone that just came back from war, and I'm going to hide in the back. But, my paper was one of however many hundreds of papers that dude had to read or that dudette had to read. And, I got judged on its merits. No one looked at my Facebook profile and was like, this guy's this or this girl is that. I should give her no, it's like, here's the paper, here's the work that went into it, here's my sources, here's my ability to structure a sentence, in the English language, here's my comprehension of the subject, and here's my ability to, communicate, find or subject. And that's what it is. And you either pass or you fail. I like this whole well, we need to say this guy passed this much better. That's all debatable and that's all subjective. I always looked at it as I either met the standard, pass, or I didn't meet the standard, failed. Yeah, you heard it here first. I have failed a class or two a day. Not because I was lazy. In fact, the best failure I've ever had in college was a math class, and I put more effort into that than I put into most things in my life, and I still failed. Miserable. Had to get the tutor, and I'm not talking about the hot kind. I had to get the tutor that was unenjoyable to be around and made everything uncomfortable and hard to do. But you got to do it. Scott Wall, love you, my man. Love you too. I just liked your new page. Congrats on the new gig. Glad you're out there slaying it. And love seeing you out there on social media and the new thing. So good luck to you. Keep it up, my man. But no, and for the record, Mikey Reese did not play ball hockey at Arizona on scholarship. Let the record show there was no scholarship. because his playing a suspect, his cardio recently, uh, much like mine. But no, like the this is, people are just trying to find a way to like, but it's sexy. Like there were so many names in this list, but people are focusing on two. They're focusing in on them because they're like, oh, let's go after like these moms. And like I get it. Uh, they tried using their money and influence to do it. Felicity, whatever her name is, from Magnolia Street, uh, like for the Desperate Housewives. Yeah, like if you put the amount of money, I'm just saying, like, and this is me just being a steward to my family's fund. Take it for what it's worth. If you took the money that you spent trying to like buy your kid into college into like, I don't know, like Sylvan or any like preparatory things, you would be like slaying it right now, and that kid would be in college on their own merits and doing well. The It's my wife, on a cruise right now. She's letting me know like they're on a cruise, reminding me. But no, like if you paid for the tutoring or you put in the extra time and went to these SAT preps and did the stuff, if they just actually did the work, there's no doubt in my mind those kids would be achieving great. And here's the funny thing that we're going with. It all boils down to effort. Like we're talking about the standards to be a Green Beret. We're talking about the standards to get into college. Put in some effort. Like you'd be amazed at actually what you're capable of doing. Like everyone looks at us nowadays, and when I say us, I'm talking about like the veteran community. Ooh, you guys did like. Well, let's go back to the days of the draft. Let's go back World War II. Everybody won. There's amazing stories out there from dudes that didn't want to be, had no dog in the fight politically. They just were asked to do something on behalf of their, did something crazy, amazing. Like, ah, like that's impressive. And like um, if you give someone the opportunity to shine, they will. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you should just let your kid go to the Sylvan, get that SAT prep course, and get into college on their own. All right, Mikey, we'll talk about 737 MAX 8s. Anyone in the chat rooms on stock in Boeing right now? Ask, or we dive into it. All right, let's dive into it. So, we had a couple of planes, like have an issue, and then the world went. The aviation mechanical and engineering industry is very interesting. There are standards, since we've been talking about standards. The rule or the benchmark for today has been standards. In the aviation industry, it's taken exponentially, scientifically, notationally higher. And, the super meticulous aspect and the documentation of things is off the charts. There can be no margin for, which I always find ironic. So we're talking about a metal or heavy craft defying the laws of gravity flying through the air. And like humans don't fly, we are utilizing this mechanical structure to fly, and we're expecting it to work perfectly every time, and anything outside of that, bad. I'm sure Orville Wright, when he was like doing the old pedal thing and like trying to get that manned flight thing going, was like, this could go horrible wrong. Um, Now, like, let's put things in perspective. We now have decades of technology going into building the Boeing plants. I've toured it. I've toured the main Boeing plant twice now in the Pacific Northwest, just south of Seattle there, where a lot of these aircraft are built. It's pretty impressive. Boeing hires some of the brightest minds in America. Um, they have an impressive, staff. They have impressive facilities. They spare no expense, and like there's an entire ecosystem and economy built around Boeing in the Pacific Northwest. And sometimes things don't work out properly. When you look at the number of aircraft in existence versus the number of aircraft that have issues, that's not a big number, but we're talking about an industry where there's 0% margin for error. It took how many Firestone tires blown out on Ford Explorers before we actually leaned on, as a public, on Ford and Firestone to do something about that? Those those numbers are substantially high, and crazy that we would actually talk about it. And when someone gets a safety recall on their vehicle, it's like an inconvenience. I just had a safety recall on my Ford F-150, 7 of them, matter of fact, that I had addressed with my door locks, my door jams, my seat belts, and something. None of those things. Vehicle, but the interesting part about this aircraft issue is how other countries reacted to it and how we slow played our reaction. And now we made a very broad stroke reaction to it, grounding all. I think it's 34 Southwest planes. Mikey, you know how we feel about flying Southwest with our Las Vegas adventure a couple weeks ago. Like as if that airline didn't have enough problems with their mechanics. Now they're like grounding half their fleet, and 20 some for American Airlines. Taco, who is a longtime viewer of the show, often must be actually in the area. He's a pilot for American right now. He put a thing out earlier today where he has 100% confidence in the vehicle. He has 100% confidence in cruise it. And, like Mikey's in the chat room is talking about, who gave the order. And, like really, that's a political pressure issue. I probably wouldn't have grounded him. Like this is America. We have tort law. That's why you have lawyers. That's why you have people doing that stuff, figuring it out. Is it a gamble? Yeah, it's a gamble. Like again, we're talking about human beings in a mechanical vehicle defying the laws of gravity. Everybody that gets on an aircraft should kind of understand that. Just like anybody that gets on a train should kind of understand that you're going down a set of rails at the capacity that the rails can handle. You're in a vehicle that you're at the capacity of braking and rubber, or that the road conditions can handle. But it's been an interesting approach, and why people are like getting a little angry about it. You know, you know, this is something that, like, yeah, some people died. So you're like, where do you fall on it? And like Mike is saying, it's like such a small percentage of the fleet. But who called it, who made the order? It's kind of irrelevant. The U.S. kind of hung out there for the longest amount of time, and then it kind of feels like they just did it because other people were doing it. Yeah. Does that make it wrong? Sometimes like America's not the leader in certain things, and America's not the thought leader in certain things. Like I'll probably get some hate mail. They're like, "Oh, you're Canada showing," but you know, you have to look. You have to look at the big picture. So we talked about college. We talked about the 737s. Now, since we're talking about political stuff, and we kind of Mikey talked about it a little bit. Let's. He didn't talk about this, but he kind of brought up the political aspect of things. Um, you know, this morning, I live in Austin, Texas. We're just north of Cool, as we like to call it, in the GTX 7626. Everyone is a buzz. The media is all hyping the announcement that Francis Robert O'Rourke, also known as Beto, has decided to run for president of the United States 2020. Beto for president 2020, which is an interesting play. It's an interesting play. And the reason why I think it's interesting, without saying whether or not I would vote for him or not, you just lost a major election that a lot of the nation were tuned into. You lost. Running for something bigger is ballsy. Now, on one hand, left, Pollock, you have people like Beyonce, Ellen DeGeneres, a lot of Hollywood, high-profile celebrity tweeting shirt, wearing your shirt, calling for grassroots. So, like, this is yeah, that Kobe on a power play is interesting. Or of a kill. But this is a bold play, and trying to use like that kind of national momentum and that kind of Obama-esque sex appeal is it's cool. You just spent $69 million trying to unseat an unpopular Republican in Texas. You just burned a lot of people's money. Yet I did see today, like, he raised a lot of money today. So it's like, yeah, he's popular. He reminds me of the guy, and this has nothing to do with party affiliation, but he reminds me of the guy that's like running for student body president. That's like, no one will ever have to do homework. Everyone can eat pizza every day, and like free Coca-Cola or Mountain Dew, and everything's great. Yeah, 69 million in sex appeal. That's right. Like the dude burned a lot of people's money. So most expensive senator race in the history of America, failed. Going to run for president. I'm super curious about what that dollar bill amount's going to be. And now that he's not in a race, first and foremost, he's got to fight Democrats. So we'll use my right hand for that. uh, to get the nod. Now he can talk and he likes to use his hands a lot. I mean, this dude, if he was running a pizza shop while he was like running his campaign, I mean, he would like be kneading that dough like a champ. Like the dude can talk with his hands like no other. But like, if he can beat out and guys like Cory Booker, so now you're looking at Cory Booker or whatever. You got Mr. Booker, known abuser, uh, already spent 6 digits of congressional slush fund money to pay off hashtag Me Too issues against a guy that is culturally confused and oh, that's right, it's got a DUI and a B and E on. So you're like, do we like someone that beats their women and abuses them, or do we like someone that breaks into their houses and hits them with their? So like, I think you can take out Cory Booker, better talker. Cory Booker is not exceptional. He's not a great orator. Beto can sell, ice to someone that's already frozen. The other people now he's going against women. Like he's super popular in the female demographic. At least he was during the election here in Texas. But now like that female demographic, they might not be as enthralled with him because there is, some pretty impressive female candidates out there. Tulsi Gabbard out of Hawaii, extremely impressive. Um, you've heard it here first. You'll hear it here again. Tulsi Gabbard is someone to definitely pay attention, and I'm not just saying it because she's a badass veteran. She's a moderate. She's middle of the road. She's extremely intelligent. She's been in Congress for more than a minute. So, like, when she puts a bill forward, she's actually thought about it. She's not talking about cows farting. She's not trying to keep people out of airplanes while she rides in SUVs. Like, and she actually has it together. Then, you go down and then you have like the Democratic media darlings, Kamala Harris, like she's going to get run through the mud. Like there's a lot of or not speculation. There's a lot of tangible connection to how she got to where she's at. And that's coming up. So you got Booker, who of course, his abusive history. You got Kamala, who's like, sexual histories. Yeah, like all the stuff. And then sprinkle in Uncle Joe, sprinkle in Bernie, and you got, I don't know if you can get through all those people. When you're going through absolutely nobody, it's easy to do. I will say this about Beto, he was an amazing candidate. He really was. He's a great orator. He can sell anything to anybody. He's an amazing orator. And he ran a campaign where he was unopposed, getting the nod for that position. So it's going to be interesting. And we're going to see how it is. Like, there's people that are probably lighting their Beto candles right now, hoping for it. And I'm interested to see how like the national convention goes and who they give the nod to and who makes it. We just watched the last election where Bernie was clearly the people's favorite and they sunk him like a submarine in a bad Gerard Butler film. Like they went after it. We'll see how it goes. All right. Any questions? John Kaiser's got a fishing question. I wish I could answer it, my man, but I'm like uninformed. I'm uninformed. I definitely always think that the sport angler gets screwed when it comes to commercial fishing. I don't know, like, facts of the case, but to answer that, anybody got any questions for me? If not, like, that's 41 minutes of me talking to myself. I haven't eaten dinner yet. Get the mic while my stomach grumbles. Best friend in the world asking, Ate Brute. Um, yeah, so kitchen, you don't have your plane ticket for this weekend, loser. Because still have time to buy it, still have time to get there. Brad Kelly, he's on board for this weekend. Kitchen, get your mind right. Leave Gordon, get to the ATX. Let's do St. Patty's Day. Do this. Let's do St. Patty's Day. Come on now. Let's do it. So Scott Wall wants to know if I was 6'3" when I arrived at Benning. And apparently he actually read my book. And I was pretty short when I got to Fort Benning. I was pretty light. I was 130 pounds. And that's like being generous. I think it was actually 108 or 129 when I hit Fort Benning, and I was a strapping, skyscraping 5'6". Very important half, but very important half. And so in my book, I make a comment and reference my little legs dangling on a high platform, which was a temporary porta thing. Honey pots, where you poop through a hole into a bucket and nice little mixture. And Rob, you should have come tonight. Could have used a producer. It could be the Toby and Rob show. But I was not 6'3". I was being sarcastic. Apparently, I didn't that well. But no, like I'm actually taller than I was at Benning, 5'6.5". I'm now all of 5'7", and attribute it to hanging up feet. Fine. Not something that Alex Jones taught me to do, because I don't know. I don't sell any of his products, but I might have elongated my spine or lied to the person getting my. So I think on my license, solid. Rob, no worries. And Kitchen, you're the one that contacted me with the plans for weekend. Not too late. And John Kaiser, you're still 100. I don't care. Still run like the of you. All passing me. Flip flops, depending on the brand, Kitchen. There's reefs that give me a little extra inch, but not Olakai. They screw you on that. All right, guys. Any other questions? And we'll get after it. 15. John. Hey, so like I got a nutritionist. What's helping me out? Got Wall with a little airborne school. A little airborne school vignette. Anybody else? Anybody? All right. I'm getting ready to wrap this up because I get tired of talking to myself. It's all Troy's fault for having a real job and like leaving me unsupervised, and Rob for having to travel, not wanting to be a producer. Praise. But yeah, Brad Kelly, we're gonna eat steak, drink bourbon, and watch Letterkenny. S&P down the hatch. Tyler, good to hear you, bud. Tyler, there you go. A little shout out to Tyler. All right, with that, everybody, it was great hanging out with you. I think I'm going to leave us with a little local artist by the name of Ranger Smith. We're going to play America by Granger Smith, featuring Earl Dibbles Jr. on the way out. That's right, Pity Patter.
Got my one strap snapped on my Liberty bibs, what a Levi Garrett packed between my lip and my gum. America. Got mud kicking off of my Red Wing boots, sweat stained tank top, and my foot leather looms keep